All right, so we are continuing with our series of interviewing our POW conference speakers, and in this instance, one of our sponsors, Joshua Brummel, who in my world is kind of one of the CRM gurus, right? As people are looking to automate intake process, make sure they do leads and nurture leads and all that kind of stuff. I think he's one of the go-to guys in the industry. So, Joshua, give me a little background on how we ended up here and you doing what you're doing, and to just wake up one day and say, I want to start a therapy practice CRM. Like, give me the story.
That's pretty much how it happened, actually.
Yeah.
No, I went to college for pastoral ministry, actually. While I was there, I thought I was going to go and do a bunch of counseling classes. I started taking them, but I loved business. I loved entrepreneurship. So I started a business while in college and then started to build that immediately out of college. Ended up not going to grad school, ended up building a general marketing agency. And every other company in the world that isn't in the healthcare space uses CRMs to manage because they don't have the fancy EHRs. So, make a long story short, I started to work with therapists. It was a natural fit. We loved to do marketing work for them, websites, ads, and other things. And we realized for things like email marketing, for things like attribution or tracking, for
Hmm.
smoother intake processes, the industry was changing. Practices needed to change too. And that's where the CRM came in. So we've been using CRMs for 5, 6 years now with our practices with a lot of success. And it just came because they needed more tools to track and convert their clients, and their EHR wasn't providing that anymore in the changing industry.
Yeah, especially these solo practice and small group practice EHRs, they're not wired for this. You're one of the originators, as far as I can tell, because prior to you guys coming on the scene, practice owners were trying to go out and do their own thing. I mean, there wasn't a solution native to the industry, you know?
Right.
And it was also an environment where we all had wait lists. Like we didn't need marketing any more than Pokemon needed marketing when everybody wanted it. I mean, people were beating down our door for therapy. If you didn't call them
Yep.
back, there was 20 people to take their place. In an environment where marketing matters, all of a sudden, a CRM feels crucial to me, right? So that's super exciting. And how many practices do you guys have on your CRM?
Yeah, so at this point, we probably have 400 practices
Wow.
actively working with us on a monthly basis, and we have a lot, thousands that come in and out of our coaching programs, our events, and our marketing services. But yeah, hundreds have chosen that as their main CRM right now.
And you guys do Google Ads and the whole spectrum of stuff too, right?
Yeah, so we focus on being channel partners. So if we're going to offer the service, we want to be able to do all of the work related to that. So from
Hmm.
Google Ads, the web layers, website services, SEO, GEO. So we've chosen a couple central paths regarding marketing, and then we'll own the full shape of it. Everything else falls into sort of done with you marketing coaching, practice
Love it.
coaching. Yeah.
So the title of your session is Email and Text, and that's the one that really intrigued me about this. Email and text marketing for therapists, ethical, effective client communication. It intrigued me, and I want to hear you unpack what's going to be in this workshop. I hear that the conversion ratio on text is insane, like
Yeah.
such a higher conversion ratio. And when I started looking into it, the regulatory stuff, the fines for texting people at the wrong time or whatever,
Yeah.
it, like terrified me. I was like, okay, never mind. I don't want any part of this. So
Yeah.
tell me what we're going to hear in this session from you, and maybe even see in the vendor demo that you're doing on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that there's three really simple takeaways, and you kind of already mentioned them all. Number one, email and text conversion rates, when you do it effectively, are way higher than just simple callbacks and simple form
Mhm.
fills. This is called list nurture, and I'm
Mhm.
a huge proponent in 2026 and beyond that practice owners who nurture and build their list and communicate with their list with value and with effectiveness will convert more clients,
Mhm.
which means they'll spend less on marketing. And
Yep.
we all love that, right? Number two is there's HIPAA compliance and there's regular just communication compliance. And we just need to know the simple rules, the do's and don'ts. So I'm going to cover some of those. That if you know what they are, you can prevent it with some simple privacy policies, some simple disclosure forms, some simple understanding of what's called like the CAN spam app and
Mhm.
A2P and some other stuff. It won't take long to just understand how do you stay out of hot water, how do you stay HIPAA compliance and above board. But still use these tools. And then number three, messaging. What is the starting point? What should be your first emails? What should be your first text messages? I'll talk about my 3-7-30 framework
Okay.
for lead nurture. I'll talk about what a quarterly reactivation campaign is and how to do
Mhm.
that with your EHR. So just the kind of the first couple things you can do with email and text message marketing and how to stay compliant with it so you can spend less on marketing ultimately and connect with clients more.
Yeah, that's so, there's two big KPIs in our coaching groups that we run, the 1F and the Streamline groups that we're talking about. Cost per acquisition,
Yep.
especially relative to lifetime value of a client. And how do you drive down that cost per acquisition? And by the way, like there's so many people that have these databases essentially of
Yeah.
warm leads that have gone cold that it doesn't take a lot of cost to reactivate them. And the other is admin cost per session. Once you have them
Right.
in, how much of your budget is going to all the ancillary services? Both of those, it feels like a good CRM, people not having to play phone tag with clients, the
Right.
instant gratification of text messaging. I mean, all that feels like it chips away at both of those key numbers that
Definitely.
that are hurting profitability for practice owners. It's huge.
Yeah. It
Awesome.
is.
So if somebody, because I think there's a lot of analysis paralysis around this stuff, right? Because I watch it all the time. I'll get on a coaching call and someone's like, I need a CRM. And then I
Yeah.
start talking through these things and they're like, all right, never mind. Where does somebody, even if they're not going to see your workshop, like where do they start? Like what should they consider first? How do you know when it's time for a CRM if you're a solo practice or you only have three or four people? And tell me in case they don't come to POW conference, how they find you and get some time with you in a consult if they think they're at that point.
The easy heuristic I use if you're trying to decide should I consider or explore any CRM, are you getting more than 15 to 20 leads on a monthly basis at minimum?
Okay.
If we're getting that volume, there's benefit for list nurture, for email marketing, for keeping track of all of that in a HIPAA compliant way. If you're
Okay.
getting less than that and you aren't planning on growing it, you can still maybe, as a solo practice, do things by paper and survive for a little while without
Mhm.
incurring the cost. But 15 to 20 leads on a monthly basis, that at minimum is a starting point. Or if you're spending money on paid channels. So if
Mm.
you're running Google ads, if you're running Facebook ads, if you're doing heavy networking and investing time and money into that, you want a system that does what's called attribution sourcing automatically. And if you
Yeah.
don't have that, you can't track as well or with success. So if you're spending lots of dollars on marketing, and whatever you define as lots of dollars, sometimes for a practice that's hundreds, or sometimes that's tens of thousands, or if you're getting just 10 to 20 leads at minimum a month in that door, and then if you're thinking about getting this process started, I just say, hey, what is the first use case you need? It's kind of like
Mm.
stepping into a commercial kitchen. Your goal is to make dinner,
Mm.
one meal. You don't need to use all the tools yet, and that's usually like lead tracking or email marketing and text marketing.
Yeah.
Those are great reasons to start your work inside of a CRM if you're overwhelmed. And yeah, you can find us at crm.mytherapyflow.com or just Google mytherapyflow.com. Everything will come up. We've got lots of free trainings and other layers on marketing and on CRM work.
I love it. So the attribution thing's huge. As I coach people through cost per acquisition, if you don't know where they're coming from,
Yeah.
you can't compare apples to apples across different campaigns, right? And one of the problems for all of us for a long time, we would ask the client, "Where did you find me?" And they say Google, like people
Right.
say, Xerox back in the day, but it means any copy machine. Google could mean I found you on Psychology Today. It was a Google ad. I've read I mean, who knows? So that attribution feels, and you guys can peg it down to different campaigns. So if I got a
Yeah.
Facebook campaign, Google ads, you can help me track that, where that's coming from, all that kind of
Yep.
stuff, right? That's huge.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Definitely. The attribution sourcing unlocks your ability to spend more on marketing profitably.
Mhm. Yeah.
No one wants to throw money, right? Put their dollars in a dumpster fire and just watch it go. So the attribution sourcing lets you, in a very value-driven way, spend more on
Yeah.
marketing.
I fear we're going to see a lot of reactive marketing. I don't have enough clients, so I'm going to spend 25 grand on SEO, and you don't even know if it's working.
Yeah.
The interesting stat, and I'll let you go with this, but I was speaking at a practice conference, and we got all the practice owners to submit anonymously their profit and loss sheets, right?
Yep.
So we went through and looked at that, and the average practice was spending three quarters of 1% of their total revenue on all marketing and advertising. When you look nationally at all professional service businesses, so lawyers, chiropractic, anybody that kind of sells their time by the hour, consultants, they're spending 10%
Yep.
of their entire revenue on that. So if we are normal, if we have this kind of maturing as an industry, people can expect to see their marketing budgets go up by tenfold, which is a lot of people's profit margin all by itself.
Yeah.
This cost-effective attribution piece is the one hope I think for making sure you don't watch your profit margin disappear with
Yeah.
reactive marketing. So super excited to see what you're going to share with us in a couple weeks. Thanks for taking a few minutes to explain it. I'm going to sit in on yours personally. This is one of the biggest questions in my own practice, is how do we do this stuff better? So excited to have you, Joshua.
Excited to do it. Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, man.